Just go
Well,
ahead.
Karim, thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Karim, and I'm 26 years old, and I work as a land surveying engineer, topography and all that. I work for a government agency. It's the National Agency for Cadastral Works, and we do control a lot of project, outsource a lot of project to private companies and then control the work and then certify it.
How did you get into doing this surveying, this topography? What interests you about it?
Well, I started, studying a lot of science, in high school, and then continued on to that for two they're called preparatory, 2 years, for engineering schools, and then I started weighing my options, and I really liked that field.
Were there other fields that you looked into that you considered at one point?
Yeah, I considered, civil engineering, chemical engineering, but then, and a lot of options, IT, but then I ended up, doing topography.
Do you get to spend a lot of time actually out in the field taking measurements, or is
Well,
it?
no. I just said earlier that we outsource those, those field programs, to private companies. We only do the control. We control the work they do, you know, and then we certify it.
Do you sometimes give the same task to multiple companies just to see what the variance is?
No, no. There's a lot of, process before outsourcing a contract.
What are some of your hobbies?
I don't know. I watch a lot of, series and movies. I like to read a lot, and watch space stuff and read a lot about space stuff.
What's something recent that you've seen?
Uh, the documentary, the latest documentary about the Apollo 11. It had a lot of new materials, new unearthed footage, and it was remastered in HD. So yeah, and I liked it.
It's pretty amazing, I think. I think the first satellite, like Sputnik, I believe that was
Yeah,
what, launched in 1958, is that right?
yeah. 1958 or 59, I don't remember. But
58.
yeah,
Okay. And then you had Neil and Aldrin land on the moon in 1969, literally 10,
yeah,
11 years later.
that was very quick. A lot of innovation went to that program.
And compared to that decade, it's amazing in some ways how much slower things seem to be now.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of problems with funding. That's what I read. That there's a lot of strife politically, and each party want to do, uh, their own thing. The Republicans want the moon, and after the moon, go to Mars. The Democrats, the Obama administration wanted asteroids and Mars directly. All of that pushes, and delays the mission.
I, what do you think about us going back to the moon?
Uh, I love it. Since I was a child, I knew about Apollo, and I always wondered when they could go back or go to Mars. So yeah, I mean, the day they released, the Artemis program, I was overwhelmed. I loved it.
Do you think there will be a time when people will live on the moon, fairly permanently?
Well, it all depends on the resources on the moon. If all goes well and the in situ resource utilization goes well, I think there will be a lot of heavy industry on the moon, and maybe people even living there in a lunar city.
Would you ever consider living in such a place if you could?
Uh, Not among the first ones. Maybe after all, after everything is set and the cost brought down to space travel, why not?
And also maybe when it's a little bigger, like
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
that's true.
the CEO of SpaceX, Gwen Shotwell, she
Yeah.
says she's not interested in going to Mars because she says it's going to be a lot like camping, and she doesn't like camping.
Well, Mars is harsh too, but Mars is a better destination than the moon. But we have to train our. They have to train, for longer stays in deep space.
But I also think, if the activity on the moon gets to be such that you can actually see its effects from Earth, then
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that will have a big impact on people's views
Yeah,
about
and
what's
there's no
happening.
delay in communications. It's only 1.7 to 2 seconds
Exactly.
of read.
Some long distance telephone calls have a worse of a delay.
Yeah, that I can't imagine. Maybe just texting. Send the text and wait another 20 to 40 minutes so we can reply. Yeah, there has to be a lot of autonomy for the astronauts on Mars. Not
Yeah,
so much on.
I think you're right. And I think that's actually the biggest technological challenge is that autonomy
Yeah,
piece.
yeah, we have to achieve that leap forward. With the advent of robotics and 3D printing. If all those technologies pan out, that would be a lot of help.
Yeah, of full cycle technologies too, where you could take waste
Yeah,
products and turn them into usable
exactly.
things.
Yeah, yeah. There have to be a lot of recycling.
It's amazing. Nature is really good at recycling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the works of nature, it's all about, balances, recycling. I mean, it's everything's in cycles. The oceans move in cycles, the atmosphere, life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have the nutrients from the soil creates the trees, and the trees taking the carbon dioxide out of the air, replace the
Exactly.
oxygen. It
Put in
grows
the
leaves, which then fall down and become soil and kind of help to
Yeah,
create other trees.
exactly. And then the evaporation of the water, and then the condensation, making clouds, and then raining to help the plants. It's all a complex, system.
We somehow need to figure out how to replicate that with our uh,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
materials.
we need to test, some domes in the deserts before before even thinking to go to Mars.
Or even, like all of our plastic products, to be able to kind of turn them into useful products within inside of a house or a community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, all of that has to be done, but we're all looking forward for the moon. Hopefully 2024. Hopefully no delays. Hopefully more funding for the human landing system, because that's the part that's still in question.
Now, there's three teams that are competing for the human
Yeah,
landing system.
there's three teams. The lunar Starship for SpaceX, and the Alpaca from Dynetics, and the Blue Origin national team. I personally like the Dynetics concept, because it's light, it's reusable, and it fits in the in the plan, for the moon, for a moon base.
And they don't have to go up and down a 3-story ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Or that, giant ladder they have to climb up and down.
Or a 5-minute elevator ride.
Yeah, yeah, or a 5-minute elevator ride. Any system failure with that's going to be really, really hard.
They might need to figure out a ladder solution for the SpaceX one just in case the elevator
Yeah,
breaks.
yeah, exactly.
It'd be bad
There
to
has to,
see your
yeah,
astronauts on the
yeah.
ground.
There has to be a lot of redundancy in the systems for lunar Starship, to work out just fine. But I consider, the alpaca the best solution, but I still think that the Blue Origin, team is still the front runner because Boeing and Lockheed Martin and a lot of relationships with NASA. They're the usual suspects when it comes to these contracts, and they got the bigger contract.
And they've done less.
Yeah, they've done less. No reusability. A lot of integrated systems, and a lot of software problems arise when you try to integrate systems of 3 companies together. One company doing everything in-house, that's really great.
Of course, Dynetics has lots of partners
Yeah,
and team members
yeah.
too.
Also, Dynetics has a lot of subcontractors.
One of them is Paragon Space Systems. They're working on the environmental control and life support. Uh,
Yeah,
and I actually got to interview the CEO of that
mhm,
company for my
that's
Countdown to
cool.
the Moon project. I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty
that's
neat.
cool. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, Grant Anderson is his name.
Yeah, okay, Grant Anderson. I'll remember that and I'll watch it. Uh, there's what else? What else is there? The green run test. Fingers crossed for that second green run. Hopefully they get the full 8 minutes.
Oh, exactly. Hopefully, second time's the charm instead of the third time.
Yeah, sometimes a charm. They have to get that. They have to do a successful test. To keep up with the schedule for November. The launch for the route to uh, orbit the moon and come back.
That'd be a
If
big
that is,
step.
if that one is successful, then you could book it that 99% will have a successful landing, because they'll be reducing risk for all the launches that come after that one.
And it will be an amazing flight. And I know with that Artemis 2, they're going to be sending 4 astronauts. One of them will be Canadian, actually.
Yeah, that's good. There's a lot of cooperation in the Artemis program with the ESA, the ESA, the Canadian Space Agencies, and the UAE, and a lot more. There was like, was it 8 or 9 countries, or even more?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you count ESA as well, because I think ESA has
Yeah,
what a
I mean, ESA has a lot of members. That's a whole continent there.
exactly.
Yeah,
Even
yeah. The Artemis Accords are a great milestone. I mean, props to Jim Bridenstine.
absolutely. And um, what do you think about the Hope mission that UAE just successfully
Oh,
got in orbit?
I loved it. I mean, I loved it. Uh, I'm a space guy. I mean, I get excited about every mission, but this one is a little personal, because uh, they're the first Arab country to achieve that, and the fifth country to arrive at Mars. I mean, that was a gigantic mission for the UAE, and a boost to their morale and to their science program.
And I think they have a 100-year plan to develop a settlement on Mars, if I
Oh
remember
yeah,
right. That
yeah. They have a lot of plans. They have the money. Now they're developing, the human capital. They're doing good.
that's the key part. I think it's the human capital that you need the most.
Yeah, they're developing the human capital. You've seen the control room or Emiratis. So yeah, they're developing the human capital, and I think they'll be another force in the space race.
Do you know what the next big mission is for the UAE?
No, I haven't researched that.
I haven't either. The hope was such the focus, but
Yeah,
now
the
it's
health
like
sector focus. Yeah, I'll
once
have
that's
to
done, it's like
research. Yeah, once
I'm
that's done,
wondering.
and they're gonna be their science mission is gonna be focused on the Martian atmosphere. A thorough study. I'm a little surprised that haven't been done before. A thorough study of the layers of the Martian atmosphere, and that's going to be valuable information. For the human missions in the future.
And you know, one of the challenges with developing space is around ownership.
Yeah.
Currently the Outer Space Treaty that most of the nations have
Yeah, I know.
signed,
I know about the outer space treaty, and that nobody shall claim, ownership of any part of, the outer solar system. The planets, the moon.
but
I
this
don't know.
causes a challenge to the normal
Yeah,
economic development.
yeah, yeah. This causes a lot of challenges. Once you arrive there and you establish a base there, that's like basically colonizing it. I
Um,
don't think that I don't think the treaty is going to mean much, in the future.
but at some point you need sort of like those claims to be recognized internationally and I guess
Yeah, yeah.
interplanetarily.
I mean, it wouldn't mean much though. It wouldn't mean much if you continue going. Uh, there's why would you like seek a recognition, from everybody else now that you have a base on Mars or on the moon? It wouldn't mean a lot if you could sustain it.
Well, if you think about how a lot of development happens on Earth, you have prospectors that go out and prove that the resources is there, and
Yeah,
they
exactly.
get to lay claim to the resources they find, and then they can sell that claim to somebody else who can own that claim. And
Yeah,
it creates like the system where you now have the prospectors are self-funding, and it becomes an asset that you could take to the
yeah.
bank and use to get a capital and use
I
as
know. Yeah.
investment.
I don't know. That's for space lawyers to to figure out.
Yeah, but then you also have the other issue of what about people who live in countries that don't have space programs?
Exactly. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what
What about them?
what about them? Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I don't know. I think that um, if if space travel, becomes a little cheaper, so for the other countries to afford, send in some astronauts or some missions, some CubeSats, I think they'll be included. But the first expeditions, I don't think they'll have to wait for their turn. Space is hard and expensive.
It is. That's why you need to be able to get some value out of it so you get the
Yeah,
money,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah,
I mean, in order to build like the intercontinental railroad, I believe the US government had given the railroad companies many miles of land on each side of the track. That way,
yeah,
they would they could then go and say, hey, we need to get investment money to lay down the track, and then they had the land, which then they could sell and develop.
Yeah, they provided the land as an incentive. I
It seems
mean,
like we
yeah,
could do the same with the
yeah, with
moon as
space.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out, how to create that incentive for the companies to go there. A lot of companies want to create bases. They only need to just the transportation system to be a little bit cheaper.
So have I mean, would you be interested in taking a trip to like orbit, just around the Earth?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be awesome. That perspective. From orbit. I've seen a lot of photos. In Twitter from the astronauts aboard the ISS. That's a great experience. I'm still not sold on suborbital, those suborbital flights. Not as good as a fuller orbit or two or three orbits around the Earth and then come back.
Have you heard about the SpaceX Starship?
Yeah, of course. I've been following the program for a while.
When do you think we'll actually see that fly with passengers?
I don't know. It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. They haven't even, stuck the landing. They almost did it in the first time. The second time was kind of a setback. It wasn't as good as the first one, but the flight was a little bit stable. I don't know. I don't think. I think humans, 2028 or 2030. If there's no, some breakthrough in innovation, because a lot of technologies have to be demonstrated. Going to orbit, refueling in orbit. Uh, There's the super heavy. We haven't even, it's still stacking, so we haven't even seen the super heavy. I don't know what they will do. Will they start with 150-meter hops and then try to, go as high and then come back and land it? There's a lot of stuff. A lot
I
of
think
people are, yeah, Musk time is 2024, but I don't think they'll they're going quick to make it a to make an uncrewed flight in 2024, let alone send humans.
yeah, it's amazing though how quickly they've been churning out those Starship
Yeah, I mean,
prototypes.
yeah, that's great. I mean, quickly turning those prototypes really helps, but uh, they have to stick the landing sooner than later so they can, advance to go in orbital, and that'll have to we'll have to see a lot of booster, test flights, uh, booster explosions.
I think
But
once they figure out the landing for the Starship,
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
be in good
exactly.
shape for the Super Heavy.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'll have to see how it performs once it goes to Mars. The Martian atmosphere is so thin. So we'll see how the belly flop works in the Martian atmosphere, because it really works good here in the Earth's atmosphere because it's so thick. So it gets a lot of deceleration. It won't get that much on the Martian atmosphere.
Yeah, I think even at the top of the Himalayas, the air is uh, dozens of times thicker than it is at
Yeah,
the deepest
yeah,
place on
exactly.
Mars.
Even on the Himalayas, yeah. So
In fact,
maybe they'll have,
you remember that
yeah,
show, The Martian,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The movie, yeah,
And how
My,
the wind
yeah,
blows the rocket over, or is about
yeah,
to blow the rocket over? Apparently, that's impossible
yeah,
with the amount of air they have on Mars.
yeah. There's so little atmosphere. You can't do that much damage though.
Now, not everybody's excited about us exploring space. A lot of people say, why are we doing that when we have problems here on the Earth? What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. My thoughts about that is that maybe it's a false dichotomy. Maybe we should do both. Why should it be one thing and not the other, you know? I think we can do both. If there's political will, we can do both.
And you just need to develop the human capital.
Yeah, exactly. We need to develop the human capital. We need a lot of people in STEM fields.
We need a lot of curious people that
Yeah,
really just want to know just to know.
yeah, exactly. And the human, space flight program is a ripe field, for a lot of innovation, a lot of technological spin-off.
Do you think people are more curious, less curious, or about the same level of curious as they were 60 years ago when they were developing the first rockets?
I don't know. Um, I don't know how things were in the US, uh, but there was a lot of excitement in the 60s from all the documentaries I've seen. There's less of that now because there's a lot of people that think we should have we should have had a base in the moon like 20 years ago.
It
So
reminds me
there,
of that.
I feel like there's a little bit of indifference, when you talk to people. But I'm excited. I'm really excited about it.
That reminds me of a saying, when's the best time to plant a tree? And the answer is 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today.
Yeah,
So maybe we'll eventually get there.
yeah. Eventually, um, the SLS is doing good. Yeah, even though it's over budget and a little, delayed, but it's really doing good. It survived, uh, administrations. A lot of people in the Senate love it. A lot of senators love the SLS.
Well, I think they love the money that gets poured into their district, to their
Yeah,
contractors,
yeah,
to the
yeah,
Insubordinate
exactly.
campaign. It's
Well,
a it's a big banking and
yeah,
pipeline
of course.
system
I
for
mean,
them.
you can't hate them though. If you were in their shoes, I mean, everything you do as a politician, especially is for your constituents first. You have to get those jobs.
Yeah, it's a challenge between taking care of your constituents' interests today versus the long term.
Yeah, exactly. I
Can
mean,
you imagine whenever Ford came out with the Model T, and of all those people that were raising horses, passed laws saying that you can't have cars inside of their state
yeah,
because they wanted to protect the horse people?
yeah, yeah. But they've they lived a certain time where there were horses and cars, but then eventually people saw that having a car was economically viable and better than having a horse.
I think after 2025, there won't be any point in building a rocket that can't be reused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think eventually the SLS would be the last heavy lift, that NASA has built. Maybe, and they will be just like any other customer for their missions.
That'd be quite the
Oh,
day.
yeah. Hopefully, if the Starship, pans out and becomes everything it promised, the people to be, that would be like, you know, space. That would be like science fiction becoming science fact.
I definitely I changed things.
Yeah, that would change a lot of things. And there's a lot of companies out there too trying to, work, make fuel depots I mean, if that happens, a lot of fuel depots around, around Earth, in Earth orbit, that would like that would even that would kill even the need for a heavy lift vehicle. If you could refuel, you could just launch a second stage, empty, refuel it in orbit, and then go to Venus, go to Mars, go to the moon. That would be great.
It's gonna be quite an exciting time.
Yeah, we're living in exciting times. The space race of the 2020s is really amazing.
I really appreciate your time talking to me. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about, space stuff, and I saw you on Twitter that you were, interviewing people, and I applied for my meeting, and this is really good.
My goal is to interview a person a day to the end of 2024. I've
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I love your enthusiasm. I love your project.
I hope maybe you can send some more people my way.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I have some friends. I'll talk to them.
That would be fantastic. I have more
Yeah,
than 1,400 days to go.
yeah, 1,400 people more to go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, I look forward to seeing you online, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Thank you, Kareem. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye bye.